The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. Several international conferences important to Sri Lanka will be held within the next few weeks. The Prime Minister congratulates Dinesh Priyantha, who won a gold medal at Paralympics. A national policy will be formulated on financial content. A store with 4,090 metric tons of sugar in Wattala has been sealed. 14,394 Kovid patients recover from the virus and leave hospitals. Sri Lanka continues to monitor situation in Afghanistan. In news overseas, Australia records 1,000th death from the COVID pandemic. In sports news, it's Tokyo Paralympics 2020. Sri Lanka's Samitha Dulan Kodituaku wins the bronze medal in the men's javelin throw F46 event. Local stories in detail. Foreign Minister Gil Perez says that several international conferences which are important to Sri Lanka will be held within the next few weeks. The UN Human Rights Council will meet in Geneva on the 2nd of next month. The UN General Assembly is scheduled to be held on the 21st of next month. During a media briefing in Colombo today, Minister Gil Perez said that Sri Lanka expects to get maximum benefits from those conferences. He said that he would meet foreign ambassadors based in Colombo separately for consultations about the Geneva situation. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has congratulated Dinesh Priyantha Herath, who won the gold medal while establishing a new world record in the javelin throw event at Tokyo Paralympics. War hero Dinesh Priyantha, who performed his duties at the fight to unite the country against separatism, won a bronze medal at 2016 Paralympics. Accordingly, Dinesh Priyantha has become the first and only sportsman who has won 2 medals at Paralympics. The Prime Minister, in his congratulatory message, has pointed out that his victory would encourage the nation amid the pandemic. He has expressed belief the victory would encourage other sportsmen and women to show their maximum talents. A national policy on financial content will be formulated. The central bank said the relevant strategies have already been prepared. Steps will be taken in future to include it in the school syllabus. Micro, small and medium-scale financial entrepreneurs are important to the country. Additional Director of the Regional Development Division of the Central Bank, D.L. Nihal, said that the problem is their lack of knowledge about the opportunities in the financial sector. A store in Wattala area where 4,090 metric tons of imported sugar have been hidden has been sealed. Consumer Affairs Authority said that it has not been registered. The authority has found that the sugar stocks have been stored a few months ago. It believes that the sugar stocks have been hidden to create an artificial shortage in the market and to earn unreasonable profits. Consumer Affairs Authority said that strict legal action will be taken against the importers and owners of the store. Lanka Sugar Company says that local production of sugar has been increased. Chief Executive Officer of the company, Gamini Rasaputra, said they are working together with the Sugarcane Research Institute to introduce high-quality sugarcane varieties. Lanka Sugar Company meets 10% of the local sugar requirement, while the rest is imported. He said that productions in India and Pakistan from where the sugar is imported has been disrupted due to the pandemic. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with local stories, the Health Ministry says 14,394 coronavirus patients have recovered and discharged from hospitals and treatment centres within the last 24 hours. This brings Sri Lanka's total recoveries from COVID-19 to 371,992 so far, while 50,752 infected patients are presently under medical care and home-based care. The total number of coronavirus cases recorded in the country is 431,519, while the death toll is 8,775. Herbal masks made from 21 local herbal ingredients was presented to State Minister of Primary Healthcare, Epidemics and COVID Disease Control, Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulle, by an innovator, Deshabandhu Saman Hettiarachchi, at the Ministry of Health. The mask is patented as a new invention, and Industrial Technology Institute of Sri Lanka also offers a quality certificate. It has also won the Gold Award at the Sahasak Innovation Competition organized by the Innovation Commission of Sri Lanka and has been selected as the best invention at the Sahasak Productions International Competition. The 300th program of the chanting of Ratana Sutra, organized by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation to invoke blessings on the country and the world community, will be held near Anuradhapura, Ruwanweli, Saya today. The chanting will take place from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. under the guidance of Venerable Pallegama Hemaratana Thera. The Ratana Sutra chanting will be broadcast over City FM, Sinhala Commercial Service and through all regional services. To end the local news, the headlines again. Several international conferences important to Sri Lanka will be held within the next few weeks. The Prime Minister congratulates Dinesh Priyantha, who won a gold medal at Paralympics. A national policy will be formulated on financial content. A store with 4,090 metric tons of sugar in Wattala has been sealed. 14,394 Covid patients recover from the virus and leave hospitals. Sri Lanka continues to monitor situation in Afghanistan. That ends the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on the main news story, the Foreign Ministry says Sri Lanka continues to monitor the developments in Afghanistan and remains concerned about the situation, including its humanitarian aspect. Sri Lanka has been facilitating, with the assistance of its international partners, evacuation of its citizens from Afghanistan. As of 30th August 2021, Sri Lankans have been evacuated and 7 more remains to be evacuated, while 21 Sri Lankans have opted to remain in Afghanistan for the time being. The Foreign Ministry said Sri Lanka hopes that all those who possess travel authorization from other countries will be allowed to proceed in a safe and orderly manner to the points of departure and travel out of Afghanistan. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, a program to distribute Ayurveda medicines free of charge to homes of COVID-19 infected patients and quarantined persons in the Western Province was launched today. The program is organized by the Western Provincial Department of Ayurveda. The patients are also provided with necessary medical advice. The program will serve COVID-19 patients and quarantined families who wish to seek Ayurveda medicine. That ends Watchlight. We move on to the world news now. The headlines. Australia records 1,000th death from the COVID pandemic. Vietnam lockdown adds to global coffee supply concerns. The US investigates civilian deaths in Kabul strike. Australia has recorded its 1,000th death from the pandemic as it struggles to contain Delta variant outbreaks. The country's 1,003 COVID deaths is a lower total than most other advanced nations, due in particular to its early success in suppressing the virus. But Australia is now seeing its worst case numbers since the pandemic began. A recent surge in infections in Sydney has challenged Australia's response strategy and strained health resources. Vietnam has added to concerns over global supplies of coffee as a Southeast Asian country's biggest city remains in lockdown. The exporting hub of Ho Chi Minh has been kept under tough travel restrictions after a surge in cases of the Delta variant of the coronavirus. Vietnam is a major producer of Robusta, the bitter tasting bean used in instant coffee, and some espresso blends. The US military has said it is investigating after at least 9 Afghan civilians were reportedly killed in a drone strike which aimed to prevent an attack on Kabul airport. US Central Command said the strike targeted a vehicle carrying at least one person associated with the Afghan branch of the Islamic State group. It is unclear how the civilians died. To end the world news, the headlines again. Australia records 1,000th death from the Covid pandemic. Vietnam lockdown adds to global coffee supply concerns. The US investigates civilian deaths in Kabul strike. That ends the world news.
Development News is brought to you by Quality Matters Than Price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
And on development news, according to First Capital Research's Green Energy Report, power generation headed upward over the years as defensiveness made the sector resilient against economic fluctuations. Power generation in gigawatt hours has been continuously growing in Sri Lanka over the decades, and it is expected to grow at even a faster pace over the next decade. That ends the development news.
Development News was brought to you by Quality Matters Than Price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Moving on to sports news, Sri Lanka's Samita Dulan Kodituakku has won the bronze medal in the men's javelin throw F46 event at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. Kodituakku took third place with a personal best of 65.61 meters. This is Sri Lanka's second medal at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. India's Sumit Antil secured the gold medal with a world record throw of 68.55 meters. Australian Michael Burian picked up silver in the men's javelin throw with a throw of 66.29 meters. Shooter Avani Lekra has created sporting history after becoming the first Indian woman to win a Paralympics gold medal. The 19-year-old won with an impressive score of 149.6 in the final event of women's 10-meter air rifle standing at Tokyo today. With this, Lekra has set a new Paralympic record and has also equaled the world record. In boxing, Jake Paul went the distance for the first time in his fledgling boxing career as he secured a split decision victory over Tyron Woodley on a glitzy night in Cleveland. The YouTuber turned boxer was rocked by a solid right hand which sent him into the ropes from former UFC champion Woodley, 39, in the fourth round. But Paul, who had won his previous 4 fights within 2 rounds, won 77-75, 75-77, 78-74 on the scorecards. And in golf, Patrick Cantlay holed a 17-foot putt to beat Bryson DeChambeau and win the BMW Championship in a 6-hole sudden death playoff at Caves Valley Golf Club in Baltimore. Cantlay secured his playoff spot with a 21-foot putt for birdie on the 18th. The title is the 29-year-old American's third on the PGA Tour this year, and he enters next week's Tour Championship in first place in the FedEx Cup. That ends the sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
And on business news, LOLC, with its micro, small and medium enterprises business model, is expanding its global footprint with 3 parallel investments being made in Tajikistan, in Central Asia, as well as Malawi and Tanzania in East Africa. LOLC enters Central Asia with its maiden investment in the region through the acquisition of a 75% stake in a company known as Karat, with a license authorizing them to conduct micro-lending and gold loan business in Tajikistan. That ends business news.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, credit to the private sector had continued to expand with vigour in July with little change from a month ago, underscoring central bank's decision a fortnight ago to raise interest rates from record low levels, as it projected confidence over the continued momentum in credit flows to the private sector despite the rate increase. The latest data published by the central bank showed that licensed commercial banks had expanded their total outstanding private sector credit by 76.6 billion rupees in July, slightly lower from 83.4 billion rupees in June. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And finally on the weather report, the Met Department says showers will occur in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Fairly strong gusty winds up to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in the western slope of Central Hills, northern, north-central, northwestern and southern provinces and in Trincomalee district. The sun is directly over Sri Lanka from 28th of August to 7th of September. The nearest towns of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead tomorrow noon are Marichukkadai, Tantirimale, Madavachya and Trincomalee. That ends the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Several international conferences important to Sri Lanka will be held within the next few weeks. The Prime Minister congratulates Dinesh Priyantha, who won a gold medal at Paralympics. A national policy will be formulated on financial content. A store with 4,090 metric tons of sugar in Vattala has been sealed. 14,394 Kovid patients recover from the virus and leave hospitals. Sri Lanka continues to monitor situation in Afghanistan. In news overseas, Australia records 1,000th death from the COVID pandemic. In sports, it's Tokyo Paralympics 2020. Sri Lanka's Samitha Dulan Koditwaku wins the bronze medal in the men's Javelin throw F46 event. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Over to my friend and colleague, Mario Vijayavardhana, to keep